Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the QB List pregame live stream. I'm your host, Aaron Rader, and with me, as always, jilted Cowboys fan Matt Dean. Who's starting at quarterback today?
Maybe me.
Is it Garrett Gilbert, I believe?
Yeah, they were going between Gilbert Grape and Cooper Rush. So, regardless, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be a loss. So, we're playing against Pittsburgh, and that defense is going to probably score more than our offense does. So,
Yeah, both our teams seem to be headed for a top 5, if not definitely top 10 pick in the draft next year. So,
yeah, he's projected, just to let you know, like how terrible his start is going to be. He's projected to score lower than some tight ends. So,
that is rough. Well, enough about our sorry teams. Hopefully, the Falcons can beat Drew Lock. Drew Lock put on quite a show last week. So, just to get into some COVID news, luckily there were no reschedules or anything this week, it seemed. So, luckily we dodged that. But it also looks like the NFL is kind of just bull rushing through this. They kind of just want to. I don't even know how concerned they are with player safety at this point. I think that's valid because there's been several. There are like 3 to 4 players on several teams that I was looking through earlier that have COVID or on the COVID list right now. And then like teams like the Broncos have some players and some front office people with it, and yet we're still sitting here with the regular schedule. Definitely looked like the Packers and the Niners were going to possibly get rescheduled, but that went on. So at this point, I think the NFL is more concerned with money and getting these games played than the player safety, unfortunately. But
yeah, well, I saw today. I mean, I know they're on bye, but Baker Mayfield was put on the list today. Matthew Stafford is coming off the list today because he had his test come back positive from yesterday morning. And then Keenan Allen, who had a sore throat, apparently he has like strep or something, but you can pass strep around, I guess, but not COVID. So he tested negative for COVID. So he's wearing gloves when he tosses the ball back to Justin Herbert.
yeah, supposedly, Keenan Allen is going ahead because both his tests came back negative, and so did Matthew Stafford's. He's supposed to be back. They were worried he had it, but so as far as those two, they've been cleared to play today. I guess we'll go ahead and move on to the injury news. We got a lot of big names out this week. Calvin Ridley just recently went on to. They thought maybe he could play, but he tried to give it a go there before game time, and they're just going to hold him out this week. Same story. They're going to hold Kenny Golladay out for the Lions this week. So 2 big-name wide receivers for a lot of teams missing this week.
Yeah, and we've got also big names coming back. We got looks like Chris Godwin's expected to play. It looks like Zeke is questionable, and they're going to test him out pregame. Christian McCaffrey, though, the consensus number 1 pick in the draft, is expected back. So I'm sure there's some people I'm forgetting. But big news for people that have been down in the dumps all year with Christian McCaffrey being out.
Yeah, and as far as I know, Michael Thomas is still – how do you feel about Michael Thomas coming back, and what do you expect from him?
Well, they even said they're going to test him, make sure he doesn't have a pregame setback. But, I mean, I think you can expect high volume for him. And I know with McCaffrey, they said they're planning on rotating series, with Mike Davis. But with Michael Thomas, I mean, they got a big game. It's prime time against the Bucs, division game. I don't see any reason that he doesn't have high volume. Now, Emmanuel Sanders is back.
Right.
So I don't know how that plays into it, but I mean, I expect him to get, upwards of, I think, 2 weeks ago, Marquez Callaway got like 10 plus targets or something. So I don't see Michael Thomas getting less than, 8 to 10 this week.
Yeah, it's a big game. I mean, against that Tampa Bay defense, I don't expect a whole lot, but, it is good for a lot of people to see him back. And then same thing with Christian McCaffrey, although I've seen a lot of places say that supposedly Matt Rule's going to kind of do 50-50 snaps for him and Mike Davis. I don't know how true that is, but, I mean, I'm certainly not too keen on playing Mike Davis this week with Christian McCaffrey back. So
Mike Davis hasn't really been usable for like 3 weeks with no McCaffrey.
So it's going to be – I mean, I just can't see myself throwing him out there when someone like McCaffrey's back. But we'll see if he's limited at all. Other names out today, Gardner Minshew, Adam Humphries, Mitch Trubisky. Those three guys are really just kind of – I mean, not a whole lot of people playing them anyway. But Sammy Watkins, who is almost, spent his whole career sitting out of games. Devontae Freeman, Golden Tate, Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake and Myles Gaskin are about the only, and Chris Carson, those three are pretty much the most notable names that are out. With Kenyon Drake out, I really like Chase Edmonds against Miami, especially in DFS. We'll get to that later. He's one of my DFS picks. But Chase Edmonds has been good in general this year, even with Kenyon Drake out there. So definitely fire him up if you got him. Myles Gaskin – has been a surprise this year. He's been quite the waiver ad. Who do you like out of that backfield this week without Gaskin? Is it Jordan Howard? Is it Laird? Because Breida's supposedly out as well. So,
yeah, I feel like, Jordan Howard literally has I think more rushes and touchdowns than yards or something like that on the year. Literally every game he was having one rush for 1 yard and 1 touchdown or something like that. So, I could see them giving him the first crack at it, I guess. I think coming into the year, Laird was the name that people were watching though, before they handed it over to Gaskin. So, I think you're looking at both guys are going to get in early and then ride the hot hand. So, I don't know if I would look into starting either of them, honestly, but if you had to, I don't know. I don't even know who to – they're both two sides of the same coin for me.
I think if I'm going PPR, I'm going Laird. And if I'm going standard, I put Jordan Howard in if I'm playing either one of them. But like you said, I don't expect a whole lot from either one. We got a question from Ben Brown. He says, full PPR pick 2, Jonathan Taylor, Damian Harris, DJ Dallas, Gus Edwards. Leaning Dallas and Edwards.
I'd probably be going Dallas and Damian Harris because, the Patriots are playing the Jets. And
well, I know he was questionable to play, and it's going to be hard for him to wait on probably.
Oh, that's true.
Because they are playing the Monday night.
He also was questionable for last week's game with the same ailment he played. So, I don't expect him to hold him out because he was limited all of last week as well and ended up playing and doing well. So, I think I'm still going Damian Harris and DJ Dallas. But if you don't have the stomach to wait, then yeah, you can throw in Gus up. I wouldn't be starting Jonathan Taylor at all, though.
I'd be going Damian Harris and DJ Dallas, and I'd probably I'm sure someone like Rex Burkhead or somebody like that's out there for tomorrow. So maybe or P. Ryan so if it comes down to it, just play one of those guys instead of Damian Harris if he sits out. Because I really don't like Jonathan Taylor or Gus Edwards playing each other, the Ravens defense or the Colts. So the last really notable injury here is T.Y. Hilton, which he's been awful this year. Unfortunately, I've had him on 2 different teams and hasn't done much at all except for 1 week. So that's really kind of just not even a story at this point. That's about it for injuries, though, and we'll keep an eye out if there's any reports come across. We'll update you guys. But for now, I'd like to move on to, before we get to like DFS plays, I've got some players here that I'd like to ask you about. And would you rather, since the trade deadline's up and we don't have really buy or sell anymore, I'm just going to do cut or keep. Would you keep these guys for the playoff run, or would you just go ahead and get rid of them and try to find someone else? Starting out with the guy I was just talking about, T.Y. Hilton, what would you do?
I think it all depends on league size, honestly. But I mean, just pulling up his stats here, he's not been great. I know you know that from personal experience. He's out this week. He's got a favorable stretch run, though. But, I mean, I don't think you can expect much from him. So I'm good with cutting. I mean, he's got, he's only got one double-digit game on the year in full PPR. Mm-hmm. So if you're in standard or half PPR, he's basically scoring like 1 point a week right now. So I'm fine with cutting him. His ownership's dropped a ton, especially in Yahoo leagues where we play, down to about 50%. I'll probably will see that going down. So, yeah, I'm good. I'm a cut on that one.
Yeah, and then I mean, in deeper leagues, I'll keep him, but I would cut him in anything from like 14 and up, probably, or 14 and down, or even 12. Maybe 14 you keep him, but 12 team league and below, I don't think you can hold them any longer. There's just better players out there.
And I know you said with trade deadline up, but most fantasy trade deadlines are November 14th, so there is still a little time on that.
Another one, I kind of just threw this one in there for fun and just to kind of, I don't think anyone's actually going to cut him, but I could see a world where someone does. But Zeke Elliott,
I mean, I think that could be a good buy or sell for sure, especially if leagues trade deadlines are standard November 14th. But that's the approach I guess I'll take. I would be I think when Andy Dalton gets back, he'll be better because Andy Dalton has experience. And Andy Dalton looks absolutely terrible also when he's in there. I think this is more of an offensive line issue right now. Zeke's banged up. I think I would buy if I can buy for, basically Zeke's a flex piece from here on out for me. So if you can buy him for that price and know he's got upside, then great. If you're selling though, I don't see a world where you're able to sell him and get something you can, stomach as far as value goes. So it looks like he might just be a hold and hope things get better.
Well, and that, I mean, I want to tell myself he's going to do better with Andy Dalton, but even that one game that Andy Dalton started, he just looked so bad. I don't know. I know the offensive line is not helping any, and that's what, I keep trying to remind myself is maybe it's not the quarterback so much as it is all these injuries across the offensive line. But, yeah, obviously Zeke is not the player you drafted at this point or even close. So it's very unfortunate for a lot of people. I had our main league where I traded Hopkins to get him. Which in hindsight, I wish I had Hopkins still, but, there's no way you pass that trade up at the beginning of the season with Dak healthy. But now it's kind of coming back to haunt me a little. So
yeah,
the next name would be, and I think we kind of talked about this last week, but Cam Newton. I think we kind of said he was droppable last week, but
yeah, and that's why I was saying to start Damian Harris to that question Ben posed earlier, because it looks like they're going to be relying on the run game, especially with Julian Edelman out and no real pass catch. I think in Kilharry, I read something this week that I don't know if it was someone on his team or a beat reporter for the Patriots, but they basically said he's unable to run an effective route at all. So, yeah, I'm not in Cam Newton's corner anymore after the start to the year.
Yeah, I think I'd go ahead and cut him and find someone else if I could.
Yeah.
Same thing with another Patriot is Julian Edelman. If you have RR spots, I'm keep him, or I guess, but like I'm to the point where I'm almost ready to drop him and Hilton both, even though I do have an IR spot. But I mean, Julian Edelman, we saw, he had that one like record night for him in fantasy, and then besides that, he really hasn't done much. And we don't trust Cam Newton. We don't trust this offense passing wise. So I really don't know if it's worth holding on to Julian Edelman. If you don't have an IR spot, definitely, I don't think I would be holding him any longer.
Yeah. Same with I know you don't have him on here, but same with Mark Ingram. J.K. Dobbins is starting to get more work and looking really good at it, actually. So last week, and Mark Ingram's doubtful for this week, and then who knows after that, he might be just a sideline cheerleader for the rest of the year. So,
yeah, and Zach Ertz is kind of the same thing. Like we saw what Zach Ertz could do, and who knows why he wasn't more involved with all these people hurt. Same thing with Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert came back, couldn't do anything against the really bad, Dallas defense. So Zach Ertz is another one that I don't know. Just given the tight end position, I think I would hold on to him, especially if I have an injured reserve spot. But if I can find a better tight end, I don't mind dropping him. But he should be. I think he's supposed to come back either next week or the next. I know they were saying he would miss till at least week 9, so we should be seeing him coming back. But one more I kind of want to talk about who has fairly, wouldn't even be in the picture if OBJ wasn't hurt, but Rashard Higgins. Do you think – I mean, we saw him start out there without OBJ and didn't do too much, but do we think he's going to be worth he can put up wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 numbers moving forward? Or
yeah, well, last week he was like the number 1 waiver ad, and then he put up 2.4 points.
Yeah.
That sounds like my starts recently that I thought were going to go off. I was in the Dallas Goedert camp last week and lost by like 2 points. So thanks there, buddy. But yeah, Rashard Higgins, his ownerships went up to over 50% last week. I think it was up to like 70, and now it's down to 25%. So I think with him being on bye, people were like, well, lost cause because of one game. But he's got Houston, he's got Philly, he's got Tennessee after the bye. So we could see an uptick there. I think it's just going to be hard to see with Austin Hooper coming back and with Nick Chubb coming back. That's going to go to I can see Baker Mayfield throwing the ball, 20 to 25 times a game, which is not going to be enough to support that many people. So I think I'm probably out on Rashard Higgins.
Yeah, and I mean, if I need receiver help, I'm willing to keep him still. I'm not going to make too many assumptions off of one game, especially with Baker Mayfield. We know how he can be up and down. So I think, we've seen what the 1 and 2 wide receiver in that offense can do. So I'm willing to ride it out a few more weeks just to see.
Yeah, just wouldn't suggest starting him next week.
Yeah.
Give it a week.
You got any players along those lines that you had in mind you wanted to ask me about?
Yeah, with we saw multiple receivers supported in Cincinnati for a while. Last week we saw a downtick in AJ Green. How are you feeling about AJ Green after he popped off, for over 15 points 2 games in a row, and then last week put up kind of a dud, 3 with only 2 catches. So he's on bye this week, but has a pretty good schedule down the stretch. Pittsburgh twice, Dallas once, Houston once, Miami once, the Giants. So are you bench stashing AJ Green still, or are you saying the 2 games were an anomaly?
No, I mean, I've been, willing to keep AJ Green around pretty much all year, even when it looked like he might get traded and he was struggling and frustrated with the offense. But yeah, I think AJ Green can still, especially in this offense, as much as they pass, I'm willing to keep AJ Green on my roster moving forward.
Cool. And this one's a new name. Des Bryant, how are we feeling about him? He's back. He's starting, or I shouldn't say starting. He's playing this week. He was elevated from the practice squad. Any excitement over him? Are you thinking he has any chance of relevance?
I mean, in a deep league, I'm willing to kick the tires. Whatever. just because Des Bryant's back, it's kind of exciting. But do I think he's going to be a legitimate player down the stretch that can make a difference for you? Probably not. I mean, we've seen Marquise Brown this year hasn't even been that great. I mean, in this offense, the only consistent passing threat you can really count on is Mark Andrews. So, I mean, they're just a running team and playing defense and the run game is their bread and butter, and they don't pass a whole lot. And when they do, it's usually to the tight end. So I don't know. I don't really see Dez as much more than just a desperation, hope he gets involved kind of guy. But
yeah. And I'll give you one last one. CEH and Le'Veon Bell. So give you a little background here in case you haven't followed it. CEH has 18 carries or 18 touches since Le'Veon Bell joined. Le'Veon Bell has 15. Both have honestly done not much. One touchdown, but other than that, not much action. Le'Veon Bell, no scores, but about the same amount of touches. So how are you feeling about that situation going forward? It looks like that team's going full pass, but
I'm much more inclined to say I want Clyde Edwards-Helaire than I want Le'Veon Bell. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think Le'Veon Bell was washed up or anything, but he has not looked great. These. I mean, if you can't do it against the Jets, it's kind of that's kind of cause for concern for sure. So, I don't know. I don't know. Moving forward, it could be 50-50, but CEH has been more effective than Le'Veon Bell, obviously.
Yeah, definitely was a surprise that he wasn't used more in that revenge game narrative last week. But again, me getting burned buying into narratives.
But I guess we'll move on to DFS plays. And I got just to start, two quarterbacks I like, both playing each other this week, is Justin Herbert and Derek Carr. Herbert's 6,800 on DraftKings. Derek Carr's 5,700. We kind of whiffed on our QB pick last week. We said Jimmy G against the Seahawks. We saw how that turned out. He might be out for the season now.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
I mean, we hit on most of our other ones, though. We did all right on some of the other picks we had at other positions. But what do you think about those two?
Oh, I like them a lot. Yeah, I like them a lot, especially Justin Herbert, because
I was
a little worried if Keenan Allen was going to be out, but I mean, Justin Herbert looks like a top 5 QB, and he's priced as number 10 QB. So,
yeah, people are going to be scrambling next year to get Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow for sure. I mean, they're going to want both of those guys pretty early, I feel, next year. So, but yeah, Justin Herbert he's been putting up 40-something point games, 30-something point games on a weekly basis. So if you grabbed him early, kudos to you. But another quarterback I like this week, and he pretty much put the team on his back last week, was Drew Lock. He's only 5,200. He's playing the Falcons. I feel like I pick the quarterback every week who's playing the Falcons, and it always backfires on me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for 5,200, if you want to spend elsewhere and play a quarterback who's playing, a not so great passing defense, we are missing Tack McKinley after his shenanigans, and then missing Dante Fowler too. So our pass rush could be hindered quite a bit. So Drew Lock's not a bad play in my mind.
Yeah, and then I'm always, I'm going with the old man, Tom Brady. He's 100 more than Justin Herbert, but he plays prime time tonight. against New Orleans. Should be a high-scoring game. He gets his full arsenal of pass catchers, adding in Antonio Brown this week. I just think, he's going to have a big game. I actually like, Herbert and Brady. I would actually start them over Lamar Jackson in leagues in general right now, which is surprising to say. But Jackson's playing Indy this week. He's on my do not start list for sure. I don't know how you feel about Lamar this week, but
no, I don't like Lamar this week against Indy either. So I'm fine with starting those other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how the Saints-Bucks game goes because last time we saw that it was pretty ugly, which that was the first game of the season. Brady hadn't had really, a whole lot of time to gel with his offense. There were a lot of miscues that game, so it'll definitely be fun to watch and see if Brady and the Bucks can pull this one out.
Yeah, Brady threw 2 picks in that game, but he hasn't thrown a pick in 4 weeks, I think. So he's locked in.
And I mean, like you said, it could be a shootout, but last time it was definitely more of a defensive game. So we'll see. I think that game's at Tampa Bay, right? The first one was at New Orleans.
Yeah, it's in Tampa.
So fun stuff, primetime game. As far as running backs are concerned this week, obviously I said Chase Edmonds earlier. He's 6,800 this week, but I think he's worth it. I mean, that's kind of higher than what a fill-in running back is usually going for on DraftKings. But Chase Edmonds, like I said, has been very good with Kenyon Drake, and now he's playing this week without him. So 6,800 in that Cardinals offense, I like it a lot. Another guy, Zach Moss, who kind of came on last week. He's, you can't fully trust him as a starter right now. And, if you want to flex him, I guess that's, probably not a bad idea. But for 5,200, for a guy who received most of the carries last week, I don't think is a bad price to pay for, a running back of his caliber.
Yeah, my top guys there they're actually cheaper than those guys that you mentioned. Leonard Fournette looks like he's the current favorite in that backfield. He's 5,100. DJ Dallas is only 5,000. Last week we saw him get in the end zone twice, and he looks to be the starter this week. Homer's back, but Carlos Hyde and Chris Carson are out. So DJ Dallas should be the guy they're going to there.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jackson's 4,900, and we saw him get the bulk of the work last week. It looked like even Josh Kelly was playing third string last week, it looked like. And then J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, 4,900 and 4,800. While they do have a bad matchup, there's going to be volume there, I believe. So yeah, I think any of those guys we mentioned are going to be, cheaper than going up for guys like, I think playing Christian McCaffrey this week could be a trap play with how expensive he is and, him maybe not getting more than 50, 60% of the snaps. While Christian McCaffrey at 60% is better than there's just safer plays out there, in my opinion, that are cheaper.
Yeah, and DJ Dallas for 5,000 is a good one. I don't love his matchup against Buffalo, but yeah, that's somebody for the value, and he's pretty much going to get all the work unless Travis Homer's involved. He had like 15 in PPR last week, so not a terrible play there. We do have a question from M. Kava here: Zeke, Gus, or Bell? And it's he said pick 2, half PPR.
Ooh. I would say Zeke out of those for sure, and I hope you have Tony Pollard on your bench as well, just in case. Then I think I'm going – I don't know. I guess I'm going Gus Edwards just because, I don't know, Bell hasn't looked super involved. So,
yeah, I'm going Zeke for sure just because I like his
most upside there.
Yeah, and then I think I'm going Bell just because they're playing Carolina. Maybe he maybe he does actually get more involved. I don't like Gus Edwards at all this week against Indy. The Indy run defense has been pretty stout all year.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe, as you said, we see a little more involvement from Bell this week. Maybe you're just trying to talk me into starting him against you, but that won't happen. But yeah, I think he could get more involved. It just was concerning with how much they threw against the Jets, even though they were up like the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Just looks like they're going to say, "Hey, Mahomes, go try and catch Russell Wilson in the MVP race," So who knows? But I'm fine with Zeke and Bell because, yeah, Gus Edwards, I mean, as much downside as Bell, and Bell is the better pass catcher as well. So,
and he's in the better offense. So,
yeah.
The wide receivers I like this week for DFS, Brandon Cooks and Marvin Jones. I like Marvin Jones better of the two just because Galladay's out. Plus, he had quite a game last week. But Marvin Jones for 5,100, I think that's easy money. And Brandon Cooks playing the Jags, 5,500. Hopefully he does well because I have him in several leagues. But those two guys I certainly like for their price.
Me as well. Brandon Cooks especially, I think, is a good play this week. Who's more expensive of the two? Marvin Jones is, I think. I mean, Marvin Jones is the cheaper of the two.
Yeah, so, $400 cheaper, I think.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna have a really good shot of getting the end zone. I will say this week's the cheapest Antonio Brown's going to be all year. I mean, 5,500, unless he goes crazy and ends up out of the league again next week. But yeah, Antonio Brown's 5,500. I think you could do worse for that price. Christian Kirk's 5,300 and has been playing really well recently. And they're going against Miami. So a lot of good, I mean, wide receiver is a place you can usually find value. And then you have Deontay Johnson against Dallas for 5,000. That might be my top value play at wide receiver of the week. So
we got two questions to hit real quick. Rocco LaCava says, Melvin Gordon or Leonard Fournette full PPR? I'm going Melvin Gordon against the Falcons easily.
Yeah, I'm going Melvin Gordon there. Although Fournette, here's the reason I wouldn't go Fournette. It's because any given week you could see one of the running backs off the field for a majority based on one mistake, as we saw last week with Ronald Jones. He had one fumble that really didn't look like his fault that much. And, I mean, he played 2 snaps the rest of the game. So I'm going Melvin Gordon just based off safety.
Yeah, and I don't like the matchup for Ronald Jones or Fournette either way this week, even if I was guaranteed one of them to start and receive all the work this week. So New Orleans is top 5 against running backs in fantasy, I think. So then Trey S says, long list here, full PPR, choose 3. Godwin, DJ Moore, Melvin Gordon, DeAndre Swift, Fournette, or Marvin Jones.
Choose 3.
I know Godwin was questionable, but they're saying he's going to play. So
yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have. It's a lot of flex wide receiver 2 and flex plays. I mean, I'm starting Chris Godwin if he's active because just the upside he brings. We got to choose 3. So I'm going Godwin, I'm going DJ Moore, and I'm going Marvin Jones, I believe.
And I think I'm actually going Godwin if he's active, Melvin Gordon, and Marvin Jones this week because Kansas City secondary has been really good. So I don't like that for DJ Moore. I like DeAndre Swift against Minnesota, but not as much as I like Melvin Gordon, Marvin Jones, and Godwin, I don't think so.
So where we differed was DJ Moore and Melvin Gordon. And I think it's just because I own Melvin Gordon and I've seen him run enough that he looks like Mike Allstott out there trying to get to the edge. I mean, Mike Allstott might be faster. I don't know in his prime, but.
Well, he did win you that one game with the the fourth quarter garbage touchdown.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the win column since.
One last DFS play I've got for tight end, Noah Fant, 4,600 against the Falcons. I mean, you get a Drew Lock and Noah Fant stack. I don't know that doesn't pay off for you today, but who knows? Falcons just keep surprising me. I don't know what their defense is going to look like today. So,
yeah, and it looks like Johnny Smith would be a value play, but and his average is higher than most tight ends around him there. But I mean, he's really not. He's gotten 8 targets combined the past 3 weeks, and so that's someone I would be staying away from right now. Is they're throwing to the wide receivers a ton. So I like other people around that area. Like even I know Dalton Schultz is playing Pittsburgh, and that's a rough matchup. But I mean, do we really expect Gilbert Grape to throw the ball past 5 yards downfield? I don't think so. We saw Schultz get like 4 catches of the very last drive last week just because they were like, well, DiNucci can't throw it past the sticks, so it was Schultz like 4 in a row. Trey Burton, it seems like he's having a chance to find the end zone most weeks. Jordan Akins is back, and he's 3,300. So we'll see how the snaps shake out between him and Darren Fells. But it's surprising because Akins was pretty good early in the year, and now Fells has been active, and he's actually more expensive. So then Logan Thomas, I know a guy that I think you're starting against me this week. Any hope there? Or you're just like, well, not much better out there.
I mean, Logan Thomas has been pretty good. Last time they played the Giants, I think he had like 13 or so. We're playing them today. So I don't know. There weren't really any other options that I liked out there. Yeah, maybe Akins or Fells, but that's just a toss-up for me. I think Logan Thomas is the safest out of what was available in our league. But
too bad you didn't start Jordan Reed like I did.
Yeah, Jordan Reed, him and Joelle ended up having like 8 or 9, and then Jordan Reed just didn't get injured, but he didn't. He had what, 1.9?
Yeah, and he played quite a bit of snaps too, which was unfortunate. I got burned by tight ends 2 weeks in a row. So we'll see if the rest of my players can come back on you, but I've got an uphill climb.
And I think Nick, Mullins really didn't do much to help him out. So you got a defense for me this week in DFS? Because I couldn't decide on one.
Well, I mean, it's probably the week you pay up again for whoever's playing. And that's Pittsburgh, who's already the number 1 defense. Well, them and Tampa Bay are kind of flip-flop, I guess. But, I mean, Pittsburgh at Dallas, I mean, come on. Last week, I think we saw Washington. They got 17 points on DraftKings against Dallas. And Pittsburgh's much better than Washington on defense. So they are 4,900. They're about expensive as a normal flex play, but if you want to save some money, we got the New England against the Jets. Farther down, though, I mean, it's tough to find value because it's all, defenses playing against pretty good offenses. I actually think Arizona could be a good one just because Miami is without their top running back, and that's what they've kind of leaned on. And it's Tua, who we haven't seen. Last week, I think Tua threw for like 90 yards or something in his debut. So, yeah, I think Arizona could be a good value play as well.
Well, and I saw a lot of people suggesting Arizona, and they're like, what, 2,100 on DraftKings?
29, yeah.
So, I mean, they're like half the price of, or less than half the price of Pittsburgh or somebody like that. And then, so I could see that. But the thing I don't like about Arizona, they've got a couple players missing because of COVID, and they got a couple injuries. So I don't know. That feels like I know that Tua. This is only his second game, and they're without their starting running back. So it sounds like it makes sense, but I don't know. It kind of feels like a trap to me. So I don't know if I want to go Arizona or not.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but
now I think you're playing them in our main league, aren't you?
I am. I mean, I'm just doing anything I can to try to get in one column here, and nothing's working out. So might be a lost year, but hey, if I can knock some people off along the way, I'll be a disruptor. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got for DFS plays. I don't know if you had any more.
Well, I wanted to ask you about. I know we usually talk about value plays, but let's talk about a few guys that would you pay up for? First guy I want to talk about is Dalvin Cook. He plays Detroit, and he's coming off a monster game where he scored 51 points in DFS, 30 carries for 163 yards, 4 total touchdowns, 2 catches for 63 yards on top of that. See someone he's going against like the worst rushing defense in the league. So are you paying up for him this week or yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's somewhere you could spend up for sure. If you want to save money elsewhere, go after him with most of your budget, then yeah, I think it's worth it. Who was it last week that we were saying? Patrick Mahomes, like he was the guy that I should have spent up for, and I said, I'm going to go with someone like Jimmy G and save money. But then Mahomes had 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's worth it to pay up for guys like that. And then like Devontae Adams last week as well, did what he usually does. And that was somebody that we said might be too expensive. So I faded him and then saw what happened. But
yep. Okay, another guy, Julio this week without Calvin Ridley. He's 7,200. Think he pops off against Denver?
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. 7,200, not terrible, I guess, for a top wide receiver like that. And it's going to be all they got this week, really, besides they might use Russell Gage and Hayden Hurst more in the passing game, but it's probably going to be the Julio show besides that. But so, yeah, that's another guy I'd be fine paying 7,200 for.
And then at tight end, are you ever – I know people have different philosophies when it comes to tight ends in DFS and defenses, usually where you can look to save. But, I mean, are you paying up – is there ever a situation where you're paying the 7,200 or the 5,800 price tag for Kelsey or Waller, like the top 2 guys?
Yeah, because, I mean, they're the one guys you can depend on in the tight end pool. So, I mean, if you want – instead of taking a chance and saving some money on one of these other guys, go with who is always consistent and gets you the points rather than taking a dart throw. So Kelsey's always getting double digits every week, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, he's only had 1 week actually where he's under double digits. So I just feel like it really limits your upside at other places, but I mean, it is hard at tight end position, I will say, to save and get points there. It's kind of just like throwing stuff on the wall, see what sticks. So, but yeah, that's it for what I had. Because the other guys that are top plays, DeAndre Hopkins, I think we can say the same thing as we did for Dalvin Cook. Alvin Kamara. We just got to see what his role is going to be like with Michael Thomas back. I don't see him getting 8 catches a week with Michael Thomas back and Emmanuel Sanders back. So I think we mentioned most of the guys who are worth paying up for.
Yeah, I agree. On a non-fantasy related note, apparently Alex Trebek has passed away. Longtime Jeopardy host. Just had to throw that in there just because he's such an icon. But rest in peace, Alex. This is already a very bad year, and it just keeps adding to it. So,
man,
But yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it for DFS, I suppose. I don't even know if I'm going to make a lineup this week, and if I do, I don't know who I'm going to play. I'm sure some of these guys will be in there, but I tried.
Yeah.
I tried the value strategy last week. Didn't work out for me, but
Yeah, I listened to you on Jimmy Garoppolo, and that lost me our DFS pool by about 4 points. So
yeah, I had a bad like the matchup was there, but I had a bad feeling that I couldn't trust Jimmy G because he's been pretty bad all year. They were actually talking about. That's a good segue to talk about. I think they might move on from him after this season. There's been a couple people thinking that Matt Ryan will go to the Niners. I would hate to see that, but again, if we can get a quarterback in this draft, then maybe it makes sense.
yeah, and there's another situation where didn't he start his career in San Francisco like 7-0, 8-0, something like that, but I don't know that it was ever really him.
No, I always said, Jimmy G is a game manager type quarterback. He's not, and it just worked with what they have, their defense and their run game. And I've never thought he was that special. Obviously that's why Shanahan didn't trust him in the Super Bowl to put it in the air very often. So I could see a situation where Matt Ryan does go to the Niners. I'd be sick to see it, but at this point, I think the Falcons may go to a full rebuild, and I don't know what's going to happen with Julio, what's going to happen with Ryan. Gurley's on a 1-year deal, so who knows what's going to happen in Atlanta. They didn't obviously get rid of anybody during the trade deadline, so I don't know what they're thinking, if they want to keep this thing together
yeah, it seems like most of the top picks in the draft next year are, quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. So, yeah, for them, it seems like if they're going to rebuild, it's going to start with picking one of these quarterbacks this coming year. But I think Justin Fields could be an attractive option because we see what guys like Kyler Murray are doing. So, we'll see.
We got let's see, one question here from Matt LaCour. I guess that's how you say it. Jared Cook or Eric Ebron? I'd probably say Ebron against Dallas.
I'm going Ebron as well. Just because Cook just got a lot of competition for targets back.
Matt Nelson says, confidence level of Atlanta winning today. Well, considering it's Atlanta, probably a 1. Again, Denver, out of 10, I'd probably say a 7, I guess. Denver's not a slouch by any means. They're obviously not up there with the best teams in the league. But I could definitely see a scenario where we lose. Any given Sunday we can lose. So, and even if we have the win, we find a way to get rid of it quickly in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of scenarios for Atlanta and for the draft. A lot of teams have their quarterback already, and I don't know who all is in the market for one. I'm not even sure what Dallas will do now. Jerry claims he's going to keep Dak, but who knows what he'll look like off this injury.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate circumstances for him.
Yeah, why not just start Ben DiNucci for the rest of his career?
As much as I would hate to see after what Justin Fields did by leaving Georgia, I'd like to see him back. I'd like to see him in Atlanta if somehow that could happen.
Yeah, I think Dallas, we're kind of in the same boat as you guys. It's hard because we've lost so many linemen, but our linemen aren't getting any younger either. Losing Frederick before the year to retirement was a big blow, and we've seen injuries just decimate. But I could see a situation where we, like Atlanta, move on from our top quarterback, even though ours is younger, and go with one of those young guys, because I don't see us. Yeah, everybody says Dallas still has a chance in the division, but it's obvious that we don't. So I think the Eagles are going to probably win the division. So got another question here.
Yeah, Ethan Line says Gage or Chark. If Gardner Minshew were starting, I'd say Chark. I think I got to go Russell Gage in this scenario.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. He's going to be slotted in there as the number 2 receiver, correct? So, and Chark, with that new rookie quarterback, I actually did the write-up on them this week. I said if I'm starting anyone in that wide receiving core, it's Chark, but even then, I don't have any confidence. So we just don't know. We saw what Ben DiNucci did to all of the quarterbacks in the wide receivers in Dallas. It can get ugly real quick when you have someone in there who's never taken a snap. So I'm good with Gage.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's about everything I've got for this week. Unless there's a couple of players you have some questions on about boom or bust. But
no, man, I was wanting to say that, we thought we had a couple freakouts early in the year where we thought the NFL season was doomed. It's definitely been nice to have this every week. It looks like we're going to be getting NBA back in late December, right before Christmas. So
yeah, 22nd.
So all the world has looked grim. COVID cases are up, I guess. It is still nice that there is football. Hopefully, ownership is taking it more serious than it seems, like you said earlier in the stream. But yeah, it's been great to have it back. Hopefully, we're gonna have it long enough to have Thanksgiving football. I need to look and see who the games are. The Falcons play on Thanksgiving this year.
I can't even remember. They played Thanksgiving last year, so
usually I'm really excited to watch Dallas play on Thanksgiving, but this year I think I'll eat a lot of turkey right before so I can fall asleep by halftime.
I mean, what is it? The Lions and the Cowboys always play on Thanksgiving, right? So, what's Thanksgiving this year? The 26th. So it looks like Texans, Lions, Ravens, Steelers, and Washington Cowboys.
So potential for good games and potential for bad games.
Ravens, Steelers they're the primetime game. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. What was that first game you said?
Lions and Texans.
Yeah. That could also be a shootout. Deshaun Watson's looked good. But then again, we're like, you just got to hope nobody has COVID that way or gets exposed. So I think now the NFL guideline is that if you get exposed at all, you have to have straight negative tests for like 5 days or something. I think that's what happened with Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, a lot of these players have been lost because of the contact tracing, and then they've been around. That's what happened to a lot of the players in that Packers-Niners game. They had been around the players that had it, so.
And who do you think, speaking of backs coming in next year, who is your, as we see faces going to be in new places next year, do you think Trevor Lawrence goes to the Jets and does anything, or do you think is he going to give him the who was it that basically told someone, no, I'm not going to come play for you if you draft me?
Well, years ago, Eli Manning did that, but Trevor Lawrence's agent, I mean, there's rumors out there that Trevor Lawrence's agent has told him if he gets picked by the Jets, stay in college. Now, would he do that? I don't know. I mean, Trevor Lawrence in New York, I mean, that's about as big as it gets. I mean, I know they're really bad organization, really bad team, but I mean, from a brand standpoint, you go to the biggest market of them all as the number one, touted quarterback. But I'm not so sure Justin Fields isn't that much behind Trevor Lawrence. I mean, both of them, I know they both play in conferences that really don't have any defense on most teams.
Yeah.
So that helps them a lot.
And I honestly think the success of Kyler Murray only helps Justin Fields' case.
But I think the Jets are certainly going to have the number one pick, it seems like. Let me see what they have as the draft order right now. And some,
But yeah, I mean the Jets are 0-8 currently. The Giants are 1-7. So Jags 1-6. So yeah, it's looking like. Sorry, go ahead.
This one here on Pro Football Network, they've got the Giants second, the Jags third. They got the Giants taking Justin Fields. That's going to be the interesting part, is where all these other quarterbacks that are already on the team. Like I'm not ready to give up on Sam Darnold. I mean, if they draft Trevor Lawrence, where is he going to go? If the Giants draft one of these two guys, where is Daniel Jones going to be? Like Washington, are they ready to, it seems like they're ready to get rid of Haskins. Where is he going to be? So I don't know. There's some of these quarterbacks that I'm just not so sure we should give up on if they were, put in the right position on the right team.
Yeah, I feel like Darnold almost had the pedigree of Lawrence or something coming out of college,
Well, and Darnold was my favorite quarterback in that draft class.
I mean, he's looked good in the games he's played this year. He's just been hurt.
When the Browns took Baker over him, I thought it was extremely foolish. But I'm not ready to give up on Darnold. I don't know that I'm ready to give up on Daniel Jones either. Him being without Saquon Barkley and then missing Sterling Shepard for some time this year didn't help him. So I'm not ready to give up on either one. But
yeah. What's your biggest hope for the Falcons that they go for? Right now, it looks like they're projected to have like a 5th or 6th pick overall.
Yeah, let's see what these guys are saying. They're saying Kwity Paye. Is that how you say this? Kwity Paye. He's an edge rusher from Michigan. I mean, we certainly need edge rushers, but I mean, I don't mind drafting the quarterback of the future at this point. Even if Ryan stays, he can sit and learn behind Matt Ryan. I think that would be beneficial. And I think when you're in this position, you kind of have to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you'll be back in the position to make that pick on a quarterback or not after this year. So, I mean, and who knows what their record's going to be. We could be worse than this. We could be in the top 3 picks. But, yeah, I've heard they've actually got Washington taking Zach Wilson, the quarterback out of BYU, at number 7 on here. I've heard Todd McShay say that he's, like, skyrocketing up draft boards. And could be the 3rd quarterback taken after Fields and Lawrence. But
yeah, and I'm even looking down the list to see, some people who get some steals. And man, right now this one I'm looking at is Terrence Marshall going to Kansas City, and that would be unfortunate because they need any more help, But I guess it's time to lock in lineups, right? It's 11:59. So
yeah, I'm sitting here doing my best to set mine right now.
Yeah, it's always the hope that you didn't forget one, right? So happens when you're in a lot of leagues. So
hopefully not. We are playing each other in our main league. We will report back to y'all on the outcome of that.
Enjoy your win.
You never know in fantasy. I had a pretty good start Thursday. Matt had a guy go for 1.9. I had I had Aaron Jones and McKinnon. So
well, it wasn't a good start for you until 4 seconds left with a running clock in the 4th quarter.
Well, both of them did
McKinnon fell in the. Yeah.
But yeah, that was unfortunate. But anyway, guys, we had fun. We'll see y'all again next week. Thanks for everything.
Tune in Thursday morning on Reddit for the sit and start article. A lot of the people you see comment here also are contributors as well. So it's not just a one-man effort, even though Aaron does post it every week. It's a big putting together. So and a lot of people interact there. So you can come even comment to give people advice, get advice. It's a good time Thursday morning.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.